Hi, I'm Angela. Welcome to my kitchen. I have very ambitious goals today for my canning and preserving. Oh, I don't even know if I'm going to get it all done, but we're going to really try. My first thing we're going to do, I have already prepped the night before, and we're going to do corn relish. So the recipe I'm using is from Beginner's Guide to Canning. It is 90 easy recipes to can, savor, and gift. And so the corn and pepper relish recipe that I really like and my family enjoys is from this book. I do believe there is also a corn, I don't know if they call it a corn salsa or if it's corn relish recipe in the Ball book as well. I like this one. I guess maybe I probably would also like the Ball recipe. I don't know for sure, but this is the one that I'm using today. Let's do a quick rundown of ingredients and processing time. So this is a water bath canning recipe. So we're going to have, of course, corn is the main ingredient. It's the star of the show today. So it says we need 10 cups of fresh or frozen. You can use either whole kernel corn, okay? You need 8 cups of distilled white vinegar. This is what's making it possible for us to do a water bath. Because corn is not a high acid food, but we're going to create an environment so that it can be water bathed and safely put up on our shelf. We need salt, we need bell peppers, which I have in here. You could add some jalapenos or serranos or whatever other type of hot peppers that you enjoy. I actually did think about it, and then I opted not to because we do so much candied jalapenos that if I want a little spice, I could just do it that way. And this way, no matter what application I'm using it in, I may not want it spicy all the time. And so I'm going to keep it the mild version. But you could absolutely sub out a little bit of the bell pepper for some spicy peppers if you wish. 4 celery stalks, which is about 2 cups. And then I have 2.5 cups of the bell peppers in here. Fun fact about me, I absolutely hate celery. I don't like it. I never purchase it. I don't grow it. It does not go in anything that I cook in my kitchen. It is the only vegetable that I absolutely just think is terrible. And I know I seem to be alone in that. And so if you love celery, that's okay. Go ahead and add it to your recipe. I don't like it, and I especially do not like it cooked. So it doesn't go in chicken noodle soup. It won't go in this recipe. You won't never find me using celery, but go ahead and use it if you love it. I'm not going to replace that ingredient with anything, because it's not a high acid ingredient. I could add a little bit more peppers and some more onion if need be, but I don't find it necessary. If I was skimping on something that was in here that was a high acid food, that would be necessary to then sub it maybe for something else that's high acidic. I'm just omitting it. The only thing it's going to do is it's not going to increase the volume of the total overall amount that I have. So no big deal. I'm just going to leave it out. 1.5 cups, or about 1 large onion diced, and I have that here. We're going to do some mustard powder, celery seeds, some turmeric, and then it's optional to do some clear gel. I'm not going to do clear gel. I didn't do it the last time. I find by the time it's heated up and you work through it, we like the consistency the way it is. I don't need it to be thickened or anything like that. Again, making it somewhat more versatile for how I'm going to use it later on down the road. So now with all the ingredients we have here before me, we should get 8 pints or 16 half pints. I have over here heating up half pint jars. I did can it last year in pints, and I found we worked through it about halfway to 3/4, you know, so I figured if I do it in half pints, I won't likely have to put opened jar into the fridge and then try and find ways to use it within the next couple of weeks. It's in vinegar. It's kind of like a pickled item, so it would stay fresh for a little while, but I just, you know, I just want to keep down the amount of open jars that I have in my fridge. I don't know if any of you struggle with that as well, whether it be pickles, relish, salsa. I just feel like there's always banana peppers. There's always open jars in the fridge, and I just want to consume it for that dinner and be done. We can open up another jar the very next time we think we want it. So I think that will serve our purpose better for this type of a dish anyhow. If I have the large family here and we've got everybody, I can open up a couple jars. There's no problem with doing that. But this way, when it's just the day-to-day family here and we're eating, you know, this, I don't have half of it still going back into the fridge. So it made sense for me to do the half pints, and I like gifting half pints to people, especially if they've never tried it before. If they might be a smaller family size, I'm not gifting a whole pint to somebody, and if they don't like it, then it's kind of wasted. So it makes it easier for gift giving as well. So I have those heating up here in my pot, and I'm going to work on getting my ingredients here into this other pot. But the water bathing, again, is made possible because of the vinegar. So if you don't have distilled vinegar that's 5% acidity, you will need to go and get some in order to do this project safely. Last night, I did all the prep work for as much as I could today for my large batch canning session. I have absolutely everything prepped behind me. I have my rings, I have my lids washed and waiting for me in hot water. I have my towels and vinegar to wipe my rims. I've got everything set up, made it completely possible to just come in and get everything thrown together. So this should be a pretty quick batch today. So first thing that this recipe wants us to do is to combine the vinegar, the sugar, and the salt. Now, I have my sugar already measured out here, 2.5 cups. I'm going to choose to do the entire 2.5 cups. This is making a lot, okay? So I'm okay with using this. Again, I already did this recipe, so I know I like it the way it is. I also, if you've watched any of my previous videos, especially the pantry tour and what I will not can again video, you learned, second thing you learned about me, 1, today I don't like celery. 2, I don't like vinegar. I have a hard time even canning and cooking with it. So I'm in for it today because I have a lot of other relish type of things we're canning today, and it's gonna be vinegar central in here, but that's okay, I'll get over it. But because I don't love anything vinegary, I do add all the sugar because it does help to sort of offset that. You don't have to put all of this sugar in there. I would measure out what it calls for, get everything going, follow the recipe the way it's suggested to, and as you're taste testing it, because you should always taste test when you're able to. Sometimes we're working with par cooked meat and you might not be able to taste test, but when you're able to, taste test it. If it's like, ooh, no, it does need more sugar, you can add to your liking. Sugar is not a preservation tool within this canning recipe. The vinegar is what's making the corn safe to water bath. And then the water bath procedure itself is what is making the jar safe to sit on my shelf, okay? Sugar is just for flavor. It's to help balance out the vinegar. So you can also use any sugar of your choosing. How will it come out? Of course, I don't know. So you might need to do a small batch. And I would recommend you getting all your ingredients together, scooping out a couple scoops full, doing the recipe the way it's supposed to, and then to a little small pot adding in whatever sugar you want to use. So if it's a 0-calorie type of a sugar, do a very small batch, taste test it, make sure something doesn't taste kind of off. I know sometimes there are certain sugars that can kind of have like an after flavor, and so you want to make sure you're not gonna ruin the entire batch. But you can certainly play around with it, okay? Use whatever sugar you like, whatever you might require, because I know this might be a problem, of course, for some people. So I do recommend that you could play around with it a little bit. From my understanding, because I'm not the creator of this recipe, most of the time you are able, because we're not using pectin, of course, in this recipe either, so you should be able to use a sugar of your choice. So it has us combining the sugar, the vinegar, and salt, and I need 8 cups of vinegar. Oh, and here's my measuring cup. So I'm going to use the last little bit I have of this guy in here. I'm down to my last 2 bottles of vinegar, so I'm going to have to resupply all of my vinegar. I use vinegar for cleaning as well, so I go through it whether we're canning or not. So my next Sam's Club haul, which won't be for a little while yet, if I don't need it beforehand, I'll definitely get a couple boxes. It's a 2-pack at Sam's Club. Okay. Do not like vinegar. So I'm going to get my 8 cups of vinegar into my pot, and I'm wondering, do we think it'll all fit? I think so. I think we'll give it a try. We'll see. So 8 cups of white vinegar. I'm going to set this aside because I'm just going to use it again for my candied jalapenos later. Oh gosh. And the sugar, which is 2.5 cups. Set it over here in my bucket. I'm working on my big sugar bucket today because I have a lot of it that we're going to be going through. And 2 tablespoons of salt. Now, I know in my last videos you've definitely heard me talk about salt is not necessary, and you get to control the amount of salt you put in. This too is just for flavor. I have used this recipe before. I know it's making a lot, and so I'm comfortable with using the full 2 tablespoons of salt. That is something you can taste and add as you go on if need be. So we're going to bring this to a boil over medium-high heat. We're going to be stirring. We're basically looking to get that sugar dissolved. And then we're going to boil it for about 5 minutes. Okay, now we're gonna go ahead and add in the corn, bell peppers, onion, and if you were using it, this is when you would add in the celery. Pretty much this is where you add your vegetables and not your spices just yet. I think I chose a good size pot. I always struggle with that because I don't want to use way too big of a pot, because then of course it takes longer for everything to warm through, you know, come to a boil and all of that, but you certainly risk then not using something big enough. Okay, so now that we have all of that added, we are going to let this come back to a boil. Okay, let's get our spices added. And you know, I'm kind of second guessing myself on whether or not I added that clear gel. So we'll see if I decide to add it or not. We're gonna do 2 tablespoons of mustard powder. One tablespoon of celery seed. And 1 tablespoon of turmeric. I'm going to turn this down. So really, that turmeric gives it such a beautiful color. I'm thinking I might have added the clear gel after all, and I just don't remember doing that, because I know when we, you know, I have some open. I only have 1 jar left and we had used it just the other day with dinner. Let me go grab it. So I definitely used a lot more colorful peppers in here, which is fine. I mean, it's just, you know, it's pretty. I didn't use quite as many red in this batch, and that's fine. You know, squirrel moment, like that matters. We're talking about clear gel. So it's very thick. And that tells me I used clear gel, come to think of it. Last time I canned it was actually 2 years ago. So the batch I did lasted 2 years. And this is very watery. You know, it's liquidy. It's not going to thicken no matter what I do, unless I add the clear gel. And I don't know if I know offhand where my clear gel is. This can sit for just a couple minutes without it being urgent. So I think I'm gonna go check real quick to see if I know. I have 1 of 2 places it should be, because I think I do want to add it. Let me go check. Okay, so I do have Easy Gel. It's basic Easy Gel, clear gel, Easy Gel. There's I think one other one. The only difference is There's one that can be added to hot foods, and then there's one that really should only be added to cold foods. This, I think, is hot or cold. So I went ahead and mixed it up with a 1/2 cup of water. I'm gonna add it in here and just kind of get it mixed around a little bit. It really thickens up in the water, so you really want to get it mixed up quite well. I can just tell by the way it looks in that jar that I definitely used some sort of a clear gel. When you know your family likes something a certain way, you know, you really want to try and stick with that, I guess. I don't want to ruffle any feathers by not having it be the same. It's not something I use very often, so that's why I think I didn't remember using it. All right, so now it needs to boil for 5 minutes. Okay, crisis averted. We added the clear gel. We are good to go. It is optional though, okay? So we are gonna get ready to get this jarred up. So I'm going to empty the water that's in my jars right now. I have them sitting in very, very hot water. And I'm kind of realizing I did this backwards. I probably should have had my mixture closer to me, but that's okay. We're gonna figure this out without burning ourselves. So thinking this probably could just be turned off at this point. It is plenty hot. Problem solving, sometimes it's necessary, even in canning. Let's get our mixture over to us so we don't burn ourselves or make a very big mess, both of which I'm not a fan of. Okay, let's get this jarred up. So I have my funnel. I've got my debubblers. I have my rag, my very hot jar. And we're just going to get this scooped up, 1/2 inch headspace. If you don't know what a 1/2 inch headspace, I recommend purchasing a debubbler that looks like this. If you, oh gosh, see, I'm already making a mess even though I brought it closer to me. If you are brand new at canning, then I definitely recommend you watching my chicken tortilla soup video. It's a pressure canning video, but the steps that you go through, whether you're water bathing or pressure canning, are all the same. We discuss headspace, we discuss debubbling, we really break down each step so that way you can see what it looks like for yourself without having any fast forwards. Sometimes when you're watching canners, we might forget that people are brand new and we kind of just loosely discuss and move to the next step. And I know when I started, I kind of like, oh, back row, I have a question. Why are you doing this? So I do have a video that's broken down pretty much step by step. So if you need that, please go and reference that video. I'll probably make some additionals down the road, but I do have one pretty recent up for you to go and reference. Exactly a 1/2 inch headspace. space. I'm going to take my rag, dip it into my vinegar, and even though this is a vinegar brine that we're using, I mean, we've got so much other stuff going in here. We have sugar and salt and spices. We really don't want anything on our rim. So when it's something sugary or oily, fatty, like meat and whatnot, I do like to use vinegar. Get our ring on. I'm using Superb lids. You can see it has a blue seal, where a lot of the other seals tend to be red. Not much of a difference in reason why, but okay. Fingertip tight. Back into the canner while we fill the rest. I'm doing a couple different size jars because I have individuals in mind that I will be gifting these to. So I know certain sizes will work best for them. And they will all process at the same time. Oh, and you know what I did? I left all of my wide mouths down underneath. These are my favorite jars. They are Weck jars. Oh, they are so pretty. If I had the funds, if money was no object, every single one of my jars would be a Weck jar. I just think they're so pretty. Now, there is something different to these, so we'll have to go over how to get those tops on. They're much different tops. They're a two-piece top. I think they're pretty easy though. Oh, that's hot. Okay, your Weck jars come with your seal and your glass lid separate. You can put your seal around your lid, kind of rest it on there, flatten it a little bit to see if your seal lays completely flat. Make sure it doesn't bind anywhere. That looks good. That's how I do it. And then it comes with clips, and you just put a clip on on each side. I just hold down in the middle while I put the clip on. That's what holds the jar, the lid in place. Basically like, you know, what your ring is doing with your lid and ring system. So, and there you have it. Looks good. Into the canner. It looks so pretty. Okay, I have all of my jars filled and in the canner. I do have another batch in here to do because I didn't run pints. I have to run 2 batches. So I'm gonna get the lid on this. We're gonna get it to a full boil. Then we will start our processing time for 15 minutes. 15 minutes. Remember, you need to add 5 minutes per your elevation. So always check to see what your elevation is. I only have to add 5 minutes, so I will process for 20 minutes. You need to make sure that the amount of water is above at least 1 inch. You want 1 to 2 inches depending on how long you're going to process your jars for. There are some items that you water bath for 35-40 minutes, and that I would recommend going 2 inches because you have a lot of steam coming out and your water might reduce. 20 minutes, I usually do about 1 inch, you know, anywhere from 1 to 2 inches is fine. You want that level to go above whatever your tallest jar is. And then you want to make sure you still have additional space for that water to then boil up over top. You can use any stock pot that's big enough, tall enough rather, to ensure that all of that is then accounted for. The only thing you need to make sure you're doing, if you're using, you could use even just a regular stock pot that you have. You just have to have a barrier at the bottom. So if you don't have a proper canning set that comes with something an insert to put down at the bottom, you can put a towel, you can put, some people even make one with canning rings, and they sort of just affix them in whatever fashion, probably not wide bands, but and then they set that in there, and then the jars will fit over top of those. You need something, some sort of a barrier between the cooktop and your pot. Otherwise, your jars will essentially be sitting right on top of your stove. You need a barrier in between that, okay? So that's the only thing you need to make sure you have if you're using just a regular stock pot. So I'm gonna get this to a full rolling boil. That means I can't do anything to calm that boil down except for turning off my stove. That's when you know it's ready to start your timer. We'll be back when we get these jars out of the canner. I ran 2 batches of the corn relish. Today I did smaller jars so that it would suit the needs of our family better, and then to gift it to friends and family for their pantry shelf as well. I hope you enjoyed this recipe. It is a recipe that tends to be requested quite often when I share my pantry or when I share what I'm having for dinner on Instagram. It's been requested quite a few times that I share this recipe. So I really hope you enjoy it as much as our family does. And please come back because I have many, many more food preservation projects that I would like to share with you. I thank you for your support. I thank you for subscribing, and I really thank you for commenting down below because I absolutely love being able to conversate with everyone through the comment section. And I hope to see you again very soon. Thank you so much for watching and supporting.